back with comedian Dev Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So it's been another day, another dollar, another pile, a mounting pile of regret. What am I doing? Who am I? Where am I going? What the hell is happening? Oh my God. You know, every now and then, like once or twice a week, you just get an overwhelming, feeling that, I'm just an idiot. I don't know anything. I can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. What the fuck am I going to do? And then instead of searching for answers and facing the truth on a Monday, you put your headphones in and you just listen to a World War One podcast. Those sweet, sweet whispers of mustard gas and trench warfare, slaughter and mayhem. And then you're like, at least I'm not there yet. It did make me think of my great-grandfather, though. My great-grandfather was in Gallipoli. He left me some of his World War One diaries. I was meant to get them, but instead my alcoholic grandfather married some dumb bitch like they usually do, and she ended up taking the diaries off him, and somehow or another they ended up in the museum, the War Memorial or whatever the fuck it's called, in Canberra, the capital city. So there should be a diary down there with the last name Gannon on it. I actually know nothing about him. I should probably look him up. I remember holding them and trying to read them one time when I was up seeing my grandpa. I think it might have been the last time I ever saw him, when I was like 8 or 9 or something. And even though he was like a young fucking Aussie fucking dude from the fucking 1900s, his writing was fucking like the King's English, and I couldn't understand any of it with my 1992 education. So I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And secondly, I was like, boring. He hasn't mentioned me at all. I remember thinking that, going, well, he hasn't even said anything about me. That's how fucking dumb I was. Anyway, on days like today, at least you're not in a trench in World War One. That's something to be grateful for. Anyway, it's Monday and you know what that means. It's a spoiled time. So if you've got a question you would like answered by one of the greatest minds of this generation or any fucking generation, comedian, philosopher, waterproofer, Le Boyle, then head to my website, boylecomedy.com. It's all there for you, baby. There's a tab for Ask Boyles. There's a more important tab for Fucked Up Fridays. Ask a question. Send me in a story. It's all there at boylecomedy.com. Anyway, let's get to this week's question. This week's question is from good old fucking Keithy. Here it is. A buddy of mine sent in a question a couple of weeks back about Roberts. And in answering his question, you gave a rundown of where every other Oppression Chamber member was at in life. I am currently listening for the 50th time to the Oppression Chamber, episode number 45, The Real Shawshank. One of the best episodes after 46, Bigotry of Low Expectations. 3 minutes in, you tell Roberts, this, the podcast, is your only way out. Do you think you, Roberts, and Dorr adding in Izzy every once in a while for permissible racism would have made it big? Or was that group of characters always going to go out in a blaze of glory? AKA choke slamming a pregnant bitch. I know no one wants to dwell on what could have been, but honestly, that podcast is to this day still the funniest thing I have ever listened to. Dorr and Roberts complimented each other so well, with you as the instigator. You ended up being right, though. That was Roberts' only way out. Anyway, cheers to you. I have a couple of fucked up Friday stories headed your way. Yeah, send them in. Send them in. Anyway. Well, Keithy fucking George, you have come to the right place. For starters, the Oppression Chamber is still my most proud achievement. It costs me $30 a month just to keep that fucking show up, and we haven't released an episode. And I don't even know where anyone is to even release an episode for, I think, 2 years or whatever, but I'm keeping it up as long as I live. Even if I have to sell Bitcoin to keep it up, I'll keep it up because I feel like it's 100 episodes of magic. And do you know why it was magic? It was because we assembled a crew of the loosest fucking units we could find, the funniest guys that were around at the time, but funny also equals mental illness. So there's only so much you can do, but for 100, and I think it was 2 episodes, for 102 episodes, we managed to overcome retardation, mental illness, a fear of failure, a fear of success, hatred of each other, animosity, jealousy, lying, cheating, backstabbing, alcohol, drugs, more mental illness, heaps more mental illness, COVID, and we managed to get some magic out of it before it all completely, inevitably imploded on itself. When I think back to it, I feel like we did the best we could possibly do. The problem with this band of characters is even if we did get any semblance of fucking fame or recognition, or we got money and became big, it would have just increased the likelihood of like a major disaster. The more popular we got, the bigger the downfall was going to be. Like one of us, Andrew Roberts, obviously, was going to fuck up on like a level that would have been equivalent to the notoriety he has. Like you got together 4 people that predominantly let's burn it all fucking down. Dawes was like that. Roberts was 110%. He would have preferred to burn it all down, which he did instead of tasting any sort of success. Same with Izzy, same with Dawes, and to a slightly less extent myself, but I can't be the driving force. If I am the leader of the fucking charge, if I'm the one moving everything along, it's not going to work. You need someone, you need an entrepreneur or something, but also you need characters that aren't so volatile. And that's the trade-off. The funniest people, the best comedians, you'll never actually know because they end up like dead, heroin addicts, shamed out of every comedy scene. They get into fights, punch, jail. Like, they're the best comedians. They end up on job sites. Doing fuck all. But you can't do anything with them on a consistent basis because they're too fucking all over the shop. They're unreliable. Most of my energy for that show was wrangling these fucking idiots together. And you got to remember, that isn't 103 episodes weekly. Like, it wasn't 2 years of unbroken fucking episodes. That was 103 episodes over about 5 or 6 years. That's how many falling outs we had. I bashed Roberts at one stage. Izzy and Dawes would barely speak to each other. Roberts hated Dawes for like 90% of the time. You would ask these cunts to do something, and just the fact that you're asking them to do something made them resent you and not want to do it. So they wouldn't do it. So you had to trick them into doing things. What can you fucking possibly do with that long term? Can you imagine trying to monetize the oppression chamber with like ads? Do you know how angry these cunts would be about ads? None of them would even accept the money. They would be too fucking disgusted. Jesus Christ, they're sweet. But to make it in comedy or entertainment, you have to be able to play the game to a certain extent. And none of us either knew how to play the game or wanted to play the game or had any intention to play the game. All of us resented the game. That's what the oppression chamber was. Fuck you. Fuck all you cunts. And it wasn't just them. All the other characters that came on. Mark Oshka's another one. The guy who I got arrested with in Perth. One of the best comedians in Australia. But an absolute out and out fucking maniac. What are you going to do? I don't know. Miles Milson as well, who's actually getting a little bit of following on Instagram for doing some retarded shit. He's another one. An absolute fucking maniac. One of the funniest comedians I've ever seen. It just doesn't... To keep that podcast together, we would have needed like handlers. Like Secret Service level handlers ushering us to the studio once a week, every week. And still, I don't think it would have been possible. Still something would have happened. So the beauty of the whole thing is that we were just able to do it. We were able to get over 100 episodes out, which was a Herculean effort. It's a little time capsule for me now. That was the funnest thing I've ever done in comedy. There were some times in the studio and wherever we fucking did it, Sophie's bedroom. There were times where I was like, that was absolute fucking magic. And you could feel it. And it was so fucking fun. But something like that just doesn't last. Plus, the other thing is, if we continued that and it did become popular, you have to stay in that box. And the way it was going, we would have had to have become more and more extreme. And that actually stunts your growth as a human being as well, because you have to stay in a certain period of time. Like you can't grow as a human being, because then you lose everyone that was there originally just to hear you call each other faggots and Robert's yelling the N-word. So it's probably a good thing, but yes. In hindsight, it was never going to last. But when it did, it was fucking great. Anyway, Keithy, thanks for the fucking question. That'll do for tonight, and I'll see you the fuck later.